So we do have some good news to millions of Americans. Financial relief is coming very soon. That is according to the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. But what is this relief actually going to look like? Is this going to be a $2,000 dividend check or stimulus or whatever you want to call it? Well, we're going to talk about that in today's video. We're also going to go over a clip of Scott Bessent just the other day saying that relief is coming and the announcement's going to be made in just the next couple of days. So, sometime this week, you're going to hear about new relief to millions of Americans. That's great, specifically because we are hurting. There are many people that can't afford food. Millions of people that are struggling to get into an affordable home. And then millions that are behind on car loans, student loans, and even credit card bills. So relief is something that everybody needs right now. And if you're one of them, go ahead, hit that like button. But now, listen to this. Listen to what Scott Bessent said just the other day.
The $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that, are being financed in the tax bill.
One thing I want to point out right there. He said those $2,000 dividends could actually come in the form of a tax cut. So essentially, not a new check coming to you and coming to your name, but actually the money could already be going to you, like no tax on tips, right? No tax on overtime income, right? Auto loan deduction. That right there, again, that's good, but that's not anything new. What he just said is what we referred in the last administration as Biden math. Biden math didn't work. It didn't help. It was great initially, but we can't keep using the same numbers and just reclassifying the benefit. It makes absolutely no sense. But some are speculating that the reason why Scott Bessent is saying that this $2,000 dividend may come via a tax cut is simply because we have some reports that are going to come out over the next possibly couple of weeks. Once the federal government reopens, we're going to have real job numbers. That right there could be crucial. We're also going to have the CPI report. That's going to be a big one as well. I want to keep listening to what Scott Bessent says. Listen to this.
Joining us now is Bloomberg's Brendan Murray. So, Brendan, it doesn't sound like we're going to get checks or anything for $2,000 in the mail unless the Supreme Court overturns these tariff rules, right?
Now, listen to what this guy says, but at the same time, keep this in mind, that President Trump keeps on pushing for additional relief and potentially a $2,000 dividend payment. Again, that's going to be big, but is it really going to come as a dividend payment, like checks to the American people, where you're going to actually get cash? Some say yes, others say no. But what we're hearing is that it's going to come likely in the first part of 2026. The reason for this, first off, we have to get through this government shutdown. This likely is going to be resolved sometime this week. But after that, there's going to be, well, how do we say it? There's going to be issues. The shutdown is going to, even though we're going to open up, the problems will drag on likely for the next month or two, according to multiple experts. But let's keep listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like Treasury Secretary Bessent was surprised at what the president posted on social media on Sunday about this $2,000 rebate to consumers. Of course, this follows the Supreme Court hearing in the middle of last week where a lot of skepticism was thrown on President Trump's ability to deploy these tariffs that he has around the world. And so it sounds like to a lot of observers that the president is feeling a bit insecure about about his ability to use those tariffs going forward. He sort of lashed out and called anybody who opposes tariffs fools, and is trying to sort of sway public opinion back in his direction by floating this $2,000 tax giveaway to consumers.
Okay. So again, President Trump keeps pushing these $2,000 dividend payments to the American people. Here's the issue, and this is the reason why, again, I'm calling it an issue. If President Trump keeps on pushing for this, but he knows it can't happen, it's going to look bad on his administration, especially right before a midterm election. Now, again, we're a year away, but this is why many people believe that these checks aren't going to come out till sometime in 2026. It would need to happen. It would need to happen early in 2026, so Democrats are actually on board with it, so there's enough votes. But it has to happen late enough in 2026 that that Republicans can continue to talk about it and say, hey, look what we got you, to help win more seats for the House and the Senate. But again, that election is a year away. I want you to read this, though. This right here is huge, okay? It says Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announces tariff relief on coffee and fruits. It says, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced Wednesday that the administration will unveil tariff relief on coffee, bananas, and other items in the coming days. This is actually pretty big, but some are speculating that there's a reason for this, and it has to do with inflation for one, but number two, President Trump is getting hit with a lot of questions regarding affordability. And some are asking, is the reason why President Trump is pushing a $2,000 dividend check or rebate payment or stimulus check, is the reason why he's pushing for all these things because he knows affordability is an issue and he doesn't want to accept that fact? Well, we don't know. Let's keep watching this. Let's keep reading this. So, it says, speaking on Fox News, Bessent said the economy was in a great place before the government shutdown, which he described as causing a hiccup in economic activity. It's a little more than a hiccup. It says, we're going to unveil tariff relief on coffee and other items, adding that bananas and other fruits would also see reduced tariffs. He indicated that substantial tariff news would be coming in the next couple of days. That's pretty big. He also said, the Treasury Secretary also discussed potential tariff dividends, noting that various options were under consideration, though no decision has been made. He mentioned that President Trump has been discussing a possible $2,000 rebate for families earning less than $100,000. I said this the other day that there is no way the Trump administration, again, because they pushed on the Biden administration when Biden tried to do this. There's no way the Trump administration is going to allow people making $150,000 per year to go ahead and get a $2,000 dividend check. There's no way. You are going to have to make less than $100,000, and the cutoff is likely going to be around $75,000 to $80,000. Okay? Now, I'm not just pulling those numbers out of thin air. Okay? Those are numbers that Republicans have used in the past. That's the reason why I keep saying that. Now, here's the other thing. We are going to see relief. It is going to happen, but some are saying it's because of this. It says the shutdown put jobs and inflation data on hold. Here's when it could be back and what it might say. Just want to read the key points here. It says economic data releases that have lagged during the government shutdown likely will take some time to get rolling again once Congress is back in business, which they will be back likely at the end, next week. It says, assuming the government reopens before the end of the week, Goldman figures the Bureau of Labor Statistics will put out an updated schedule of releases in the early part of next week. Keep in mind, though, and again, this is a problem, currently it is November 12th. November 12th is, it's important because they have pretty much the rest of this week, so the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday. They will have all of next week, so the 17th through the 21st, and then they're going to go on recess for the Thanksgiving holiday. So again, the problem is we may not be getting a lot out of Congress over the next few weeks. The article goes on to say, When the data freeze ends, the reports are likely to show more of the same. A slowing labor market, which I think we're already, we know it's coming. Inflation still holding above the Federal Reserve's 2% target. And growth positive, but also not gangbusters. So yeah, I do think we're growing a little bit. I don't think we're in a recession. I do think inflation ticks up higher than many people were anticipating, and the labor market is slowing faster than people were expecting. That's likely what's happening. And some experts are speculating that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent knows what is coming. He knows what data is out there and what is likely to come once the government reopens. And when that information is released, when we get that data, there could be a stronger push from many Republicans that, you know what, we need to ensure that the American people have money in their pockets. So let's give them this $2,000 dividend payment. Or let's increase some type of tax rebate. So for those that do file taxes for calendar year 2025, sometime in 2026, well, they get more money back. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But as of today, that is what we know. The good news is there is relief coming. We just do not know what it's going to look like or how much it's going to be. But as soon as we get that information, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as possible. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.